Hello and welcome to the ScrapbookPal YouTube channel. This is Colleen Beamish from Humor Bean Cards, and today I am making a card featuring the Citrus Still Life set from Pinkfresh Studio. This is such a fun set because it creates kind of like a still life scene, and it's only a few steps to make that happen. Now there are other coordinating products where you can create a whole background with a tabletop, but today I'll be showing you how to use these products without that set. So I have the main stamp set, the stencils for coloring the images, and then the die set to cut it all out. So let's go ahead and get started. The great thing about these images is that it's all one stamp. You don't need to stamp each image individually, and that is such a time saver. It makes it so easy. It also coordinates with the stencil, so all of the images are connected purposefully so that you can then stencil very easily. So I have my mini MISTI here. I just have some heavyweight white cardstock cut down to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And then I'm actually stamping this in the color Gathered Twigs from Pinkfresh Studio. And this ink is kind of like a warm brown. And I'm doing that rather than stamping in your typical black, just so that it has more of a softened effect. A black is going to be a higher contrast, and the warm brown kind of just makes it a little bit softer. So I go ahead and stamp that down. Pinkfresh Studio inks are dye inks and they look fantastic. I do go ahead and stamp this twice so that it's a nice crisp image, but you can see here that nice brown color. So now all of the images are stamped down on my cardstock, so I'm just going to tape that piece of cardstock to my work surface, and then I'll start stenciling. So each stencil is labeled with which number in the order it is, so I'm starting with stencil number 1, and you'll see here when I try to line it up with the corner of the page, the images don't line up. That is because Pinkfresh Studio actually prefers for you to stencil first and then stamp, which I wasn't even thinking about when I started this process. So if you stenciled first, you would line this up with the corner of your paper and then stamp over it. But since I stamped first, I'm lining up the stencil with my stamped image. And these stencils are very easy to line up, so it wasn't any issue at all. Now once I have the stencil lined up, I'm going to tape my stencil down as well. I'm just using some low tack tape. I think it's the Spellbinders best tape ever. All of the products I use, including this tape and the stencils and the inks, they'll all be linked down in the description below, so be sure to check that out. Now, the other thing about Pinkfresh Studio, they have an image of the set right on the back. So I'm looking at the image they have and I'm figuring out which shade of yellow or green or blue I want to be using today. So for this first stencil, I'm using my lightest color of yellow ink, and that's Lemon Whip. And then for my blending brush, I'm using the Altenew mini blending brush. And this is actually my favorite blending brush just because of how much control you have over where you're putting the color. Pinkfresh Studio ink cubes come in sets of 4. And so you have a very light color, and then it ranges down to a deeper color. So that is really convenient for sets like these where each image will kind of have multiple layers. So my lightest layer I'm doing as light as possible with Lemon Whip, and then you'll see I come in with a second yellow color, and that will be more the third color in the range. So that's what I'll do for stencil number 2. So stencil number 2, same exact thing. I'm lining it up with the image, I'm taping it down, and then I'll come in with that second color. The other thing about using the Altenew blending brush is that you can really get a good gradient of color so that it adds a lot of dimension. And that's what's going to take your ink blending, especially this layered blending, from basic to looking more elevated. So you'll see here on the lemons, one end of the lemon kind of looks darker because I'm concentrating ink on one end and blending it forwards, off, so that it has less pigment at a certain end of the lemon. Now, once I took that off, I wanted a little bit more color on the glass of wine, and then I'll also want a little bit more color on the cheese. So I'll just bring the stencil back and add that color. That makes it super easy to line things up, and you can see how I deepen that quite a bit. And once I take the stencil away, you can see that dimension. It really brings it to life. I was blown away after those first 2 layers of color, and I was so happy with how this was going. So now I'm on to stencil 3, and this is more of the glassware and the plates. And so I'm using a light teal color from Pinkfresh Studio and just doing a light wash of that again in those areas. It's the second color that you come in with that will really add the dimension. So the first color is pretty much an even wash. Now I've gone to stencil number 4, and I'm coming in with Aquamarine, which again is, I think, the third color in that kind of teal lineup of inks from Pinkfresh Studio. And I'm just, the same thing that I did with the second yellow, I'm adding in that depth and dimension using those colors. You can definitely play with the different colors with this set, and also each image doesn't have to be the same color. So maybe you want your picture to be like a pink picture, but you want the plates to be blue. You can do that just because they're all connected. When you use these smaller blending brushes, it gives you more control, and you can just ink blend one image at a time. But if you're looking to mass produce or make a card a little bit more efficiently, doing one wash of color is really easy. You can also use a much larger blending brush, and that will allow you to just cover the stencil all at once if you want to, breeze through the process. So now stencil number 5, I'm coming in with the color Olive. And there's something so amusing to me when I'm coloring the item that the ink is named for. So these are olives, and I'm coloring them the color olive. I don't know why I find that so amusing. But I'm just doing a wash of this color as well. This is actually one of the darker colors. It's not the lightest color in this set. And that's because I wanted the main color to be olive, and then I'll come in with, and the other greens in this set are also more of a bright green. So I didn't want it to be primarily that brighter green. I wanted it to be primarily olive. So you'll see I'll come in with the next color up. I think it's like Grassy Hill, and that's much brighter. But like I just said, I wanted the picture, the background of the picture, I want it to be lemonade. I want it to be like a pale yellow, and it's in the green layer, but I didn't want it to be green. So I'm just going to come in with yellow just for that. And using the Altenew brush, I can decide exactly where that color is going, and I can keep it a nice light yellow. So that's exactly what I was talking about before. So now I'm coming in with that brighter green, and I didn't want it to be too bright, too crazy, so I'm doing a pretty light wash of this as well. And these are a lot of very small spaces, so you can't quite get as much dimension on each of these. Just the combination of the darker green with the lighter green will do plenty for the image. And then again, I'm coming in with a deeper yellow, the same deeper yellow we used before, just for the top of the lemonade in that picture. And it wasn't quite dark enough, so I'll actually go back in and add a little bit more color so we definitely get that contrast. And those are all of the images colored. I'm thrilled with how that turned out. That was so easy, and it looks so great. And now I'm just going to use the dies to cut this out. Now, the die, same as the stencil and the stamped image, it's all one piece. So you don't have to go around trying to line up every single image. It all just is one die. So I think that's just fantastic. And again, it just makes it so much easier to do this whole process. So here's each little item popped out, and it seems like we put so much time and effort into each and every single one, but it was just so easy to do all at once. So now I'll get to work on the background of the card. I went ahead and die cut out this background, I guess you could call it a rectangle, from Pinkfresh Studio. It's the rounded and braided corners, and it has these little details around the edges that are just a lot of fun and will add some fun texture to the background of the card. And I'm going in with Lemon Whip, and I'm just adding a little bit of color around the edges, and that will just make it stand out from the background a bit more and add some more color and texture. And I decided to do that with my card base as well. So that's heavyweight white cardstock, cut down to A2 size, so 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And I'm just going around the edges with Lemon Whip using that same blending brush. Again, this is one you could use a bigger blending brush, but I was keeping things simple by just using all one tool throughout. So once I'm happy with the ink blending on each piece, I'll go ahead and start assembling my card. So I wanted to have this die cut piece kind of popped up on the card, but I didn't want it to be so popped up with foam tape. and I have so many scraps of white cardstock that I decided that I would just use the white cardstock layered up to add a little bit of dimension. It's less dimension than foam tape, but it's more dimension than just gluing that piece right onto the card base. So I just have these scraps. I'm using my liquid glue. That's Barely Art's original liquid glue. And I'm just gluing, I think I did 3, maybe 4 layers of cardstock on the back of this piece. And then I'll go ahead and just glue that to the center of my card base. And then I'll start adhering down all the different pieces of this card. Now, I took the time to lay it all out and make it look great. And then I was just like, I'm just going to stick stuff down. So I just kind of started to glue things down. I wanted things to have different dimensions. So the first piece I glued down that lemon branch vase. And now with the picture, I want that to be a little bit more in the forefront and popped up. So I am going in with some foam tape, and I'm just covering the back of that with foam tape, and then I will pop it up on the card. I continued this process focusing all of the pieces on that little braided rectangle and just kind of evaluating the different heights and colors to kind of spread things throughout, making sure that things are kind of in the foreground versus the background, but really just having fun with it and playing around with all the different components and pieces. So I'll just speed this process up a little bit more so that you can see the entire thing without having to sit through it all. So that is all of the images assembled on my card, and now I'm going to go ahead and prepare the sentiment. So this sentiment says, sending a little bit of sunshine. I went ahead and die cut it out first and then lined up the stamp with the die cut, put it in my MISTI, and stamped it in that same Gathering Twigs ink from Pinkfresh Studio. This is a nice dainty sentiment, and I think it's really pretty. I didn't plan the sentiment situation as much as I probably should have, so I was kind of like, where is this going to go on the card? But I do end up sticking it kind of in that upper right corner there. Now I felt like the background of the card was missing something, and so I wanted it to imitate the rounded and braided rectangle of the inner die cut, but it was kind of too late to die cut the entire piece. So I traced the larger die cut from the set, and then I just used my 9-inch Pro Shears from Spellbinders to cut the corners of the background, knowing that the die, 1, wouldn't cut through a folded card base, and 2, the card already had all of this detail on it that I wasn't going to run through the die cutting machine. So that was an easy fix, and I think it was just such a small change, but it added so much to this card. It really needed it. So that completes my card for today. I just added some little gold pearls, and that was the finishing touch. I love how this turned out. I think it was surprisingly easy to make, even though it looks so detailed. I'll definitely be making more of these in the future. So if you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up, and be sure to subscribe to the ScrapbookPal YouTube channel. They always have more crafty inspiration here to share. So I hope to see you again real soon. Thanks. Bye.